Hey everyone, I'm Shannon, and today I will be breaking down the Supreme Court case Miami Herald Publishing Company versus Tornillo from 1974. This is a landmark case about press freedom and editorial control under the First Amendment. This case asks a very important question. Can the government require newspapers to publish responses from political candidates that they criticize? I think this case is still very relevant today, so I'm very excited to break it down with you guys. So let's look at the background. This case started in Florida, my home state, when the Miami Herald published editorials criticizing a political candidate named Pat Tornillo, who was running for state legislator. At the time, Florida had a law called Right of Reply Statute. This law said that if a newspaper criticized a political candidate, the newspaper had to give that candidate free space to respond. Tornillo then demanded that the Miami Herald publish his response under this law. The newspaper then refused and challenged the law in court, arguing that forcing them to publish something violated their First Amendment right to freedom of the press. Let's break down the arguments that were brought to the court. So, first, Tornillo's side argued that the law actually promoted fairness in political coverage. They said that newspapers had a lot of power to influence elections, and requiring them to give candidates a chance to respond helped ensure that voters heard both sides. The Miami Herald, however, argued that forcing a newspaper to publish content interferes with editorial judgment, which is a core part of press freedom. They said that deciding what to publish, or not publish for that matter, is the responsibility of the editors, not of the government. In the end, the Supreme Court ruled unanimously in favor of the Miami Herald. The court said that the federal law violated the First Amendment because it forced newspapers to publish speech that they did not choose themselves. The justices explained that editorial decisions, like what stories to run, what opinions to publish, and how much space to give certain viewpoints, are a fundamental part of press freedom. If the government could force newspapers to publish certain viewpoints, it would undermine the independence of the press. So, why does this case matter? Why is it still relevant today? This case established a very important principle. The government cannot force media organizations to publish specific content. Even though the Florida law was meant to encourage balanced political coverage, the court said that the solution cannot come at the expense of editorial freedom. This case is still important today, especially when people debate whether governments should regulate what media organizations or even social media platforms publish. Personally, I agree 100% with the court's decision. While it makes sense to want fairness in political coverage, allowing the government to control what the press must publish can lead to very serious problems. Editorial independence is essential for a free press, and once the government starts deciding what must be printed, it opens the door to potential censorship and political influence. So, even though the right of reply law was intended to promote fairness, protecting the independence of the press is ultimately more important for maintaining a healthy democracy. So, all in all, the Miami Herald versus Tornillo remains one of the most important cases protecting editorial freedom. It reinforces the idea that the First Amendment protects not only what the press can say, but also their right to decide what not to say. Thanks for watching.